Let's just wait like 2 minutes. I guess we can do introductions. So I'm Zeel. I'm the vice president for the club. And yeah, I've been with the club for I guess 2, 3 years. I'm studying computer science and graduating. I've done a bunch of internships and a bunch of projects. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. I guess a quick question would be, how many of you guys have worked with Go before? Nobody. Do you guys know what Go is? Okay, good. Okay. And then has anybody done web scraping before? Right. A few nods. Okay. So we're gonna do like pretty similar web scraping, but just change the language up a little bit. Go try out something new, which is Golang. Yeah, it was developed by Google just pretty not recently, about like 20 years back. And it has been like being, I guess, pushed. It at least was being pushed quite a bit because of like its high performance and then some like congruency and everything. So yeah, we're gonna like play around with it, just try out some simple coding in it, and explore a new language today. Right. So I've put up like a Notion doc for you guys. So it's gonna like have almost all the details. So you guys can pull it up on your laptop and then follow along. And then if you miss out something, I think I covered pretty much everything. So you guys can refer back to it. Yeah. So I've never really coded with Rust, but I mean, obviously the syntax pretty different and everything. Well, we can learn a thing or two today because I'm not familiar, so let's just go over it. Oh yeah. So Rust, yes. It was I guess used at more the systems design level, so more like a little bit lower level, and then it was syntax and everything was pretty different. And yeah, that's all I know. Sorry. You guys have that pulled up? So yeah, we're gonna use obviously Go as our primary language for coding today. We're gonna use a module called Go Query to just do the web scraping for us. It just allows us to merge all the elements and that we need. And then we'll be full of input. I prefer like using the code or something. And then we're gonna do just a little bit with Chrome Dev Tools and just understand how HTML structure works and how to plan out the um, and yeah, we'll talk a little bit about the HTML requests and how they work. So since I think you guys are pretty familiar with web scraping, but I'll just do a brief introduction. Um, so what we do in web scraping is we try to like query the get meaningful information with HTML. So we out of web information like product prices, job listings, and everything. Um, it's sort of like trying to do a lot of things manually. I know I came across stuff. Web scraping does a lot of information for us. Trying to get like redundant information and like all getting information off the internet is what that is. Um, so in general, how does it work? So internet in general, it does a lot of limited APIs work on the HTTP protocol. And what it essentially allows us to do is kind of ask questions and get answers. So what we do is usually for an API, we make obviously requests and then we get some response in return. So in web scraping, we try to look at that and we try to extract the data. we do it by parsing the HTML elements, and then trying to understand the HTML structure and then getting it and then getting. Um, so a bit about Go. Um, so it is compiled in a statically typed language. So what we do is, the way we do it in C, C++, what we try to do is, essentially define the type of C variables and the structures and objects and everything. Um, and we explicitly mention it before. Um, and the other important feature about Go is that it works everything out in a package format. So every file you can import a package like you would import. And then there's a lot of readily available packages. So we have like libraries and frameworks in Python that you can import, but they're just as packages. So it's like it's a website that also has a bunch of different packages that you can like explore and play around with. Um, and then coming back to this, oh yeah, so this is just some ways to like write out the types and like introduce the variables and constants. And then we'll just learn about Go decent enough to do web scraping today. So this is the general syntax of the function. You start with function, just saying it's a function. And then the way you do it in Python, you give it a name and the parameters and wait, I think I got parameter. Yeah, you introduce that. You mention the exact type that you were expecting, kind of like in TypeScript. And then the return type that you expect the function to give out to you. And the way we do it in Python again, you have your return statement returning the thing you want to return. Um, there's also like a little like a specific way to do error handling, especially using the HTTP package that Go comes with. So that's just a little bit about it. Um, and of course, there's arrays that we can use. We introduce it similar to how we do, I guess. It's a little bit different, but again, we specify that it's a variable. We give it the variable name the way we do it in Python, and then what is the type of that particular variable, which is array indicated by the square brackets and the string. So it's a array of strings. Um, I guess that would be a good example. Yes, structures. So we can define structures the way we do it in C++, C just introducing that it's a type, mentioning that it's a struct, we give it a good name, and what all fields it comes with and their types. And we can create an instance of it. And the I think quite similar to the way we do it in Python. Yeah. So GoQuery. So GoQuery is a package that basically like it has a format quite similar to jQuery, and what it helps us do is parse the HTML and extract meaningful information out of it. Essentially, like say something like, okay, this is the class name that I want the information from, so go find the div or the container that has that particular class name or the ID and fetch me the information from there. Something like that. So in to honor time, I'm not going to go into the exact details, but if you give it a read, I think it's explainable. Um, so like just like we do it in we use it, and we do something like that using some functions of Go query. This function particularly, what we try to do is create a sort of a readable document out of the HTTP response we just got back. Oh yeah, it's an important thing. So yeah, as I mentioned, we want to get some data. Right? How do we wanna know what data we want? So like, each HTML tag will have some sort of an ID or a class, and you have to call that as saying it like passing the class or the ID, and then you try to get the data from there. So you're gonna go through and iterate through all the HTML tags and then find the class and like find the tags that match that class and then get whatever data is in there. And then yeah, we can also call the particular tag. So like A here refers to like the linking tag. We can also call like div and all to get all the divs. Um, so we can like select things by classes, by ID, by the HTML tag. And then we also can do some next nested selection like parent child class. And then we can also do it with some like particular attribute. So what are we building today? We're gonna do like a web scraping on Y Combinator's news site. So it's called Hacker News. And what we're gonna try to do is um, a little ambitious, but at least for the first thing, we're gonna do sort of a trending keyword analysis. So what we're gonna do is try to scrape this site and get like title, description, like comment, post, and things out of that site. And to start with, I would say I prefer that you guys install Go on your systems. The other option is just yeah. But I prefer that you guys install Go. It's just like a 2 minute thing. So if you guys go to this link and then follow the instructions for your particular. And meanwhile, you guys have. Yeah. In all honesty, I don't think so. You. While you do the installation, yeah, just follow the prompts that pop up. It's a pretty simple installation. You can install it in the default file folder location that it comes in, and it automatically will install it. That's like 2 more minutes, and then dive into the. If you need help, just raise your hand. Completely there to help you out, like with the setup or something. Any questions? So Go was being promoted because that person. So like you can do a lot of like backing stuff for Go, almost everything. But it has been promoted because you can do a lot of the computations parallelly. And then it's obviously more like faster. Like, uh, well, its other advantage is it's technically quite smart Python, so quite easy to navigate. It's not as complicated as like C++ or something. Yeah. You guys done with the installation? Okay. Are you guys done with the installation now? Right. A few hands. Okay, I'll take things slow, but getting forward. So the next step would be to go clone this repo that I had created. It has the started code and as well as the completed code for it. And so just do a git clone and then link to the repository, which you can get it from here as well. You can drop it anywhere. It's fine. Then yeah, just to make sure Go was successfully installed, um, just run this command to make sure. Um, yeah, that. It's the same command for Mac and Windows. So it should display just those version, but and if Go wasn't installed correctly, it'll give you an error saying there's no command as. Um, yeah, so just clone the repo, and then just check out to the starter code branch. Um, that's the code. That's the thing that we will be, starting with today. And then if installation doesn't work, as I said, you can use Project IDX. Um, but we'll be doing it locally. It's a bit about the ethics of web scraping. So a lot of big companies don't appreciate that you do web scraping to get the info. So in almost all of them, in terms of service, they say don't do it. Like I know that like Facebook, Instagram, they don't want you to do that. And to avoid it, they put like a lot of marketing and then some captchas. Don't do it for the guys. But there's a lot of like dummy websites that where you can practice your web scraping skills using Python scripts or both languages. Just Right. Are we done with the installation and the GitHub cloning thing? If I could get some nods or some piece of. Right. Okay. Good. Um. Can you guys?
Git repo, change directory into a template, and I'm trying to check out start code.
Bear with me a little bit.
So,
And if the
check up.
good, or do you want me to increase it? So, some basic things. So you'll find so there's a way to initialize the module or like the package manager for any Go project, and that is by using Go mod init and your name. What it does is creates this .mod file, which manages all of your package. It's basically a dependency manager. It lists and maintains all the active uh, packages that you've imported, and yeah, lists it. There's another file which every project of Go will have, which is main.go. That's gonna act like as an entry point to your Go application. And that is the file that is sort of auto run every time you do like go dot and then run the project. Yeah, so that's the main file. And in Go, everything works in package form, right? We just named this package as main. You'll notice this happening for almost all the packages, like for almost all the files. There's a package name at the top, which declares what package is going to be a part of. Then there's a bunch of import statements. So we do it in Python and C++. That helps us import a lot of things. And then for this particular main file, I've started with a starter code that already parses the command line, um, like values that you pass through. Um, so there's like for this project, we're gonna be doing two things. We'll start with one, see if we can do the other one, which is like to do get the trending words out of the current posts that are on the Hacker News site. So this is just an argument parser. It gets like if you pass the mode in, it'll choose the mode, pass it as a case, and then calls the respective function, which is defined in files as part of the HN package, which is just happened. Yeah, and the start of code that comes with bunch of comments that could help you code things out if you want to do it from scratch. Or the Notion doc has code snippets if you want to just do the traditional copy paste thing, which is what I think I'll have to do because we just let's go to the Hacker News study. And then what we want to do is sort of just so whenever you do web scraping, you want to first understand the site that you are working with and what HTML structure it follows, like the general class names and the names that the information that you want to get, what class and like what sort of like tags they are using and all. That just helps you plan out your web scraper script. So that's what we're gonna do. The way to do it is, if you guys like, I prefer if you guys use the Chrome browser, and we'll use something called Chrome Dev Tools. I think it's if you're on Mac, it's Control and then click, then it opens the pop-up thing, and then you can do inspect. If you do web development, I think you will be quite familiar with um, Chrome browser tools. I am not too sure if you can see it, but this is sort of the HTML code that this particular page follows. If you study it in detail, there's a head, body, the usual HTML structure, and then there's a few like table tags, which we could potentially use. And there's an ID which looks like might be like the post ID or something, which doesn't seem like quite repetitive or like something where we can, because it's unique, right? So I don't think we can use that. But it has a class which is a repeating sort of an element. So if you take a look at it, we can probably like go deeper into it. And now exactly class you can use. So I've done my research already and I know what, oh yeah, right here. So you see the class here, title. So doing a bit of research, we found that title could be useful. And that's its class name is title. The way you know that it is the title class, if you hover on the div tag, then it also highlights it on the screen paneler. Um, yeah. So we know we can use title and then so yeah, basically this is the way I found out which tags it is that I want to use for this project. Um, and you can do that too. Like which tag it is that I want to use for this project. Um, so we found out there's dot rank, which is like the class name rank. There's timeline thing. There's a score thing. And those are the classes that we can use for today's project. And I guess let's start with writing the actual code. So the first things first, what we want to do is write out the fill out this file called fetch.go. I mean, you don't have to call it that. It's just the way I have structured it. And the goal of this file for this project is going to be just initializing the web scraper object. So we know we are going to use Go query, so we'll have to import that, and then we'll have to obviously create some instance and call some functions to get it. Oh. let's start with the most basic thing, which is like the imports. Um, so here are the packages that we are going to use. The net HTTP thing, that is for um, essentially doing the uh, making the request and getting the response out of it in a more structured way. That is, I think, a package that will get with Go. So yeah, it wouldn't need a different or anything. And then we'll need query, which is by like I think it's open source. So we're gonna be installing that, and then we're gonna use something called FMT. So that's gonna help us with like error formatting and then time for setting out timeouts and doing everything with time. Uh, Now we have some a function called fetch document. So what intuitively you want to do is first make the HTTP request. You want to get a response out of it, and then you want to parse the HTML and extract the data with from the class name title. I think the rank, the comments, uh, the rank, the score. So the first thing we're gonna have to do is initialize the HTTP client, just the way we do in like Python or like yeah, just initializing the client. And optionally, but we can define like a timeout since we don't want the request going on forever. Um, so let's right after defining the client, what we want to do is another thing is we'll have to have like a the base URL obviously of the web page that we're trying to scrape. So I've just defined it, stored it in a the second thing we want to do is make the request, right? And we want to get request because we want to get all the HTTP elements. So going to be a get request, and we're gonna have to make it on the base URL of the web page we're trying to scrape. So the way to do it is we define the request, and if there's an error, and then in Python we use just the equal to thing, but in Go we do it as a colon and then an equal to, and then equal to something else, and we want to call that new request, which is going to be of form get, and then we're gonna call it at URL of our base page. Okay. And yeah, we're gonna return out of the function if there's an error, and then just define some headers of the HTTP request that could help us get the get us make us the request. Nice along. Um, then the next thing we want to do is obviously make the actual request, and the function that we use for it is called .do. It goes ahead and makes the request. Before that, we were just defining what we wanted the request to look like. So let's do that, and we'd want a response out of it. And if we get an error code, we want to catch that error as well. This us, and then simply if there's an error, obviously you want to return it. Um, yeah, and then you want to get the body out of the request, and if there's 200, and let's see. So you do the HTTP response code, and yeah. So once you make a request, you'll get a status code saying if the request went through or not, or if there were any errors, and then you'll get some headers back as well as the content. If it was, so we'd want to obviously get out of it if there was any error. So we're just gonna return. And then we'll want to close the request, and then we just want to make sure that it is an okay request, which means everything went well. If not, we just want to log the error and get out of it again. um yeah, I guess that's a bit about like HTTP. At this point we would have all the things for making the HTTP request and getting the response back. um Now we'll want to like parse the response body using GoQuery, and get the HTML tag and sort of convert it into a document which is compatible with the GoQuery package. So that's what we're going to do next. And then again, we want to just log the error if there's any. So for parsing the HTML thing and converting it into a document, we'll be using a function from GoQuery called new document from reader. You guys should be the documentation. But it just parses all the response and gets it in a document format. And then finally, we'd want to return the document. So that's a bit about the fetch file. Uh, so what we learned to do was just use the HTTP package, learn to make a request, get a response out of it, and then using GoQuery, just a very simple function, we parse it to a document. And learn to make there's other packages that you can use for parsing. I think a popular one is Collie, and then I think Go also comes with some default HTML parsers. Uh, but till this one, and then so I'll give you a choice. Do you want to like do a trending words analysis thing, or like get the top post, just which is a simple? I guess the trending one is a bit more complex than the top 10. That's just you trying to get the top 10.
It's a trend.
So again, so we've defined a package here, which is the HN package, which is the folder which we are in. And then just like any other Go files, again, we'll have to do some imports. Um, and some things on what we're going to import. we need get strings, and then we'll need sort to sort things, and then um we'll need to import the query package as well. So those are some basic packages that we'll need. Oh, and we'll need errors for error logging. Okay, so the goal here is to get the document, which is the HTML document that I was showing earlier. Then we want to extract like um, contents of the divs that have the class names that we want, like the title, the number of comments, or like the number of thing, and the like the description. And just to find out the trending word, then it's just normal logic that we would write out in Python as well. Just trying to split all the titles out into words and then do a frequency count. So just a very simple for loop. But it's good when you get to explore for loop in Go as well. So first things first, we'll have to do something called document. So what which document does is see if I don't think I'll be able to find it in. But basically, it just gets all the HTML tag for that particular web page that we were looking at. It basically gets all the Oh no, it's so slow. Right. So now that we have the document, we want to do some selecting, right? And if you recall, I mentioned that we use dot find from query to do um, selections of the class or like the tags that we want to use, um, and basically just selecting them. That's what it does. So the way to do it is dot find, and then so dot is for class names and hashtag is for ID names. Um, so we just want to do and so we do a nested selection, right? So what we're gonna do is something like a nested selection in which we're gonna get the dot timeline thing, but it's going to be inside the anything, which is a very weird name to give to a class, but that's what they have for each of the posts. Thing, sorry, but it's going to be inside the and then the dot find will obviously return like all of the divs with a thing class. So we want to iterate through each all, and the way to do it is using dot each. So that's like all of the for loops in Go. And then you want to iterate through it all, and you want to define a function basically for each of those elements. What is it that you want to do with it? So what we wanted to do is extract the title, which you can find it in timeline under the A tag. So we're gonna get that. then we want to define a variable where we're gonna store all of those titles. So let's do that. It's going to be an array, and the way to define it is title into that it's an array of string. Okay. Yeah. So let's do like the trending analysis thing just on the tangent. Um, Yeah, the next thing, when you do web scraping, there's going to be a lot of junk data. So you'll have to understand your data and see what all you want to clean up. So what we can do is right now just convert everything to lower so we get a uniform frequency count. And then can replace like just like the space separators and everything. If you want. Yes, but the most important thing would be doing a for loop to remove and convert like basically convert everything to lowercase so we get a uniform count. And we're gonna do a for loop. Title. And as you can see, we're gonna use the strings package. That's what we know here from. We're gonna convert it all to lowercase. Clean up everything. And then the way we do it in Python, we just want to create like a word frequency count. I'm sure if you guys have solved it, you would have done it just as a dictionary. Um, we're gonna use a data structure called the map. Uh, we will introduce the map. It'll be a map of string to an integer, and this is the way to define it. The keys would be a string, and then the values would be an integer. And what we're gonna iterate through all the titles that we had collected, and uh, then just count and then of the yeah. Maybe I could. Okay, so now we have our frequency counter. So what we can do is we'll have to sort it out. So we can either do like a structure thing or just iterate through the maps and then create, just keep printing it. But let's and let's do it in a separate form. Introduce a package, HN, and then we'll have to define our structure. So we introduce something called type. We give the name to the structure, which is word list. Structure with word and count. And then let's create an instance of the structure. And then for each of the map items, let's just like append it to the structure, and then finally do some sorting by using like yes. And then finally print out our output by doing the for loop. And then we don't really have to return anything for this one because we're not really using it at any other place. But essentially, that's sort of the gist of it. Um, in the completed code branch, there's a way more complicated version of it, but this is the simple one that we can learn today. And let's get into like how to actually compile and run it and see it working. Okay. So we use a command called go like run, and the dot just signifies that we're going to use the main file, and then these are the argument parser based on the parser that we had created in main file, and we're using another argument just called n, which is try to run it. Oh, yes. So first thing we'll have to do is like install all the required dependencies. There's a very clean way to do it. Go makes it pretty easy for us, which is called Go mod tidy. So we're going to clean up all the dependencies, all the required ones, and then get rid of the ones. Oh, yep. The usual day of a CS student. 26th line, and there's a comma. All right, okay. So we finally did some bug fixes, and um, on calling the trending, like passing the mode as the trending, we use the package that we created called trending.go. Inside like the file trending.go inside the package hn, and we call the output, which is just like for the most popular words in the top 10. Package hn. Yeah, that's the most simple, like the most basic version, the bare bone version of it. If you guys want to take it like a little further, something similar to like the assigned to social media mining class, you can do a bunch of different things with it. You can like do some words cleanup. We wouldn't want the words the and they don't give us any information. You could take it a step further, do some word topic analysis on it by using the packets. I hope they exist. Word topic. And do some actual like topic analysis on the post, what kind of topics the post touch. Um, yeah, those are some ways you can take the project further. And there's, I guess, almost time, but if you guys want to do a challenge thing, there's a file called top10.go. I'd encourage you just it follows a very similar format, but this is a pretty simple one. You just want to get the top 10 posts for from the Hacker News thing. So if you guys want to do it as a challenge, yeah, this works. Let's do it, and if you have questions, so you'll do something very similar. You'll use fetch document, all the HTML tag, the the website that we are scraping. You'll again look through async class, which is the most weird class name ever. You'll go through each of those, which is basically like go through each post. You'll extract the rank to find out which is the top post. The rank here tells us. So basically, on Reddit, you have something called top best. Hacker News has something called rank, which describes how popular the post was. And then you can extract the title, the link, yeah, and then print it out. It's just based on like top ranks, so you know, teacher and then print it out. Very basic web scraper. Yeah.
When we're getting the top 10, is that just like looking at they assume that they look at the first page and that's where all the most popular posts are?
I think so. It's a little bit advanced topic called pagination. You can do it with the query package that we're using. Go to all the pages, but I guess just the bare-bones version would be first. There's the tutorial would be to go to all the posts, and there's a concept called pagination, which is all the pages. I mean, either multiple requests or just passing the number of pages you want. In the requests.
The HTML specific section where it explicitly says you can click a next page and find a link that might be.
There's two ways to do it. So one is using like following the next button, and then the other way is in the HTTP request that we made in the fetch.go thing. You can mention how many pages you want, right in the request, and that's how many documents you return.
I just
Yes. Yes, exactly. So they have some limits, right? All the APIs have some limits. So that's it. People challenge, you're welcome to work on it, and then we can help you out if you. Any questions? Right on time. Perfect, which is very rare for us. Right. Yeah, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn and let us know if you have like any questions. And I guess joining us today. Here. Oh, and there's pizza. Obviously, there's slightly much.
If you. So, and you give it any. Yeah.